everybody. Um, my left eye is like blurry, so I don't know what's going on with it. Um, this is probably going to be a longer update than usual. I finally got back into Facebook. I have been knocked out of it, I think, since the beginning of November. Um, we don't have internet at home, and so did not have Wi-Fi, and we have one neighbor. So when the service got switched from my old phone to my new phone, um, when I tried to log into Facebook with my new phone, it completely locked me out. I tried everything to get in, and I could not. I finally just recently ran across when trying again, and said to log into a device that already has me logged in for Facebook. Well, that's the only device that I have that is logged into Facebook. So, my old phone, that is. So I had my husband bring me the phone today, the old phone, and I connected it to Wi-Fi. Told it yes, I was actually trying to connect into my own account, and boom, I'm back in. It has been a nightmare. I have one group in particular that I really love communicating with, and I have been absent for almost 3 months now. So I'm very excited to be back at Facebook. I saw a lot of questions when I logged in from people about different things going on. Do they know anything? I don't know who all is watching what of my videos, but this one's for you. Okay, so I have been in the hospital since December 6th. I started out at one hospital that's closer to us, the 6th. I went in because I continue to lose weight, and at this point, I'm severely underweight. Um, I can see my ribs through my breasts. If that can kind of describe how thin I am at this point. I've never been described as tiny before, but nurses have used that term with me, and I'm like, it's just weird. Um, so when I went in, the reason I went in at that point was because I had recently decided we were going to try to bump up my appetite, which I was having trouble with, and eat more. There's a whole story behind that, but it just didn't connect that my hunger signals were gone, and therefore maybe I just wasn't eating enough, and that's why I continued to lose weight. We weren't sure, and I wanted to give some time to try that at least. Well, as I continued to lose weight, I kept having problems. One of which was bleeding nose and gums. Eventually, that turned into sores in my mouth. Obviously, if I have sores in my mouth, I can't eat. And so at that point, when I was like, I can't even eat because it's too painful, I decided to go to the hospital. And they have kept me since. So, sores are pretty much cleared up at this point. I don't really feel them in my mouth. I haven't had to use the mouthwashes. I ended up using a numbing mouthwash to just be able to eat for a week and a half or something like that. And then continue to fight with the sores after that. It wasn't so bad that I had to use the mouthwash all the time, but eventually it finally cleared up. It's been like, gosh, I've been in here for almost 3 weeks, I guess. In the hospital for almost 3 weeks. So, is it Lyme? Is it something else? They don't know. They have, at this point, since being in the hospital, I have had 2 CT scans, a bone marrow biopsy, a upper GI biopsy, a liver biopsy. I cannot even begin to tell you how many tests that they've run blood work wise. My arms are still healing from all of the blood that they've drawn. But I think within the first 4 days, They got darn close to 50 vials of blood, some of which were being sent um, for more than one test. So they have tested a ton. I also, at this point, because I went into the hospital near us for 6 days and then got transferred to North, what is it called? Midwest, bad with names, hospital, which is actually number 13 on the list for the country. It is right up there with Mayo Clinic and things like that. It is across the board one of the best hospitals in the country, and it is in their top 20. So I am in good care. I am at a good hospital. These are it's not like I'm at some obscure hospital, maybe trying to get to a better hospital. I'm just about there, and they have looked and looked and looked for everything possible to try to figure out what's wrong with me. I do think that part of what I'm dealing with is genetic. The liver issues, I think, are not helped by Lyme, of course, but that they may originally stem from a genetic issue. And that is, yes, they checked B1 vitamin. They've checked everything. In fact, they had me on a supplement for B for a little bit. And they have tried testing for everything, even obscure things. I used to have a friend that was a monkey, like a real monkey, and he died somewhat peculiarly several years ago, but it was such a long time I didn't mention it to him until just recently, but they're still looking to see if there's anything. The biggest concern, I think, for them is, of course, my liver. My liver is enlarged, which is the fluid is backed up into my spleen, which has enlarged that, and that there's fluid then going into my abdomen. And they did a test on that too, on the fluid that's in my abdomen. Everything keeps coming back normal. We are waiting on additional testing from the upper GI. They sent the sample that they had back for extra testing, and we are waiting on the biopsy results from the liver. So I would expect something to come back from sorry, I'm reading thing on. I didn't catch all of that about like an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm not a drinker, so the liver issues is odd, but I found out that my grandmother died. When she died, she had cirrhosis of the liver. She wasn't a drinker either. And I believe another family member also may have some issues with their liver. So that's why I think some of this may be genetic. And the results from the liver biopsy, I would expect should have something. And I don't know. We have to wait for a few days to get that because it's the weekend. So as soon as I know, you guys will know. Anyways, so they have tested and tested and tested and tested and tested and tested and tested. That is where we are now. We don't know. One big concern is my white blood count, trying to figure out how to continue raising that. It's raised a little bit, but not a whole lot. I guess it's supposed to be in the range of 3.5 to 5 or something like that. And when I first entered the hospital, it was 0.8. And now it's only 1.1. So the white blood count issue is continuing to be an issue, and they're continuing to try to figure out how to build that / stop the decrease or I'm not quite sure yet. We'll continue talking about that with the doctor. So um, the rest of the testing all coming back normal doesn't really surprise me. That's kind of a indicative of Lyme disease type thing. So I'm glad that we've been able to rule out a bunch of stuff like no cancer, no obvious illnesses going on. Um, but unfortunately, they don't have the information that the Lyme community does on Lyme disease. It is not, in their eyes, the same information. So, so I will have once I leave here, I will have to continue to treat the Lyme the way that I had planned to. I originally started out with bee venom therapy, which worked phenomenally well for me, and I think got me to the point that I am now, alive. Um, but because of circumstances outside of the bee venom itself, just home issues and life issues, I had to stop that, and now I'm at risk for anaphylaxis. If we can get my weight up, then at some point I would like to do a testing, see if I can continue doing the bee venom. Until that time, I intend on using a Rife machine, as well as supplements. Um, but until we get the results back from the liver biopsy, I don't know yet what to do. So right now I'm not taking anything outside of what they give me. Um, and the main focus is to continue trying to gain weight. Am I gaining weight? I don't know yet. I'm kind of apprehensively thinking that maybe I'm not, and which of course is going to continue being an issue. So, because I've been trying to eat now at least 3 weeks since being in the hospital, which my appetite did increase. And I'll get to the reason why I think that happened in just a minute. But for at least 3 weeks now, and have not seen much of a change to my body. And before that, I was attempting for close to a month, and I still am seeing bony areas like underneath. I mean, I can see my ribs through my breasts, so I would think that would be one of the first things that would fill in, and so we don't know. I asked them how long it would take to tell if the amount that I'm eating now is actually causing me to gain weight. They said it would be a while. So I guess that's just going to be a waiting game until we see if there's any changes to my body or not. Um, the amount that I'm eating, I should be gaining weight. Because when I first entered the hospital, they wanted to rule out lupus, so they gave me steroids for a little while. And the steroids jump started my appetite, I think, is what happened. Now I can eat easier. I'm not eating as much as I was on the steroids, but it's a lot easier for me to eat more than when I was at home. So I think it jump started my appetite for that almost week that I was on the steroids, and I've been able to continue maintaining a decent diet since. So, meaning calorie wise, that's kind of the important thing for me right now. It doesn't honestly, nobody seems to really care what I eat as long as I'm eating, and I'm eating as much as I can. Just to put fat on my body, which is looking difficult to do. So I don't know. But that's pretty much how I ended up in the hospital. Where do I go from here? They are talking about, oh, okay, so here's an update for everybody else who's been watching. They are talking discharge because they haven't gotten any answers, and they're going to refer my case to another team who can continue trying to get answers. But I'm not going to be going home. I'm going to be moving on to intensive therapy for trying to get my body working properly as far as as sitting up and holding my head up. Like that's one thing that I know is not due to the Lyme. That's from being in bed. Like I can't keep my head up. Uh, I didn't catch the last part about the steroids. I'm sorry. Um, but the I know steroids are typically a no-no for Lyme's. I actually did not hurt or have a bad reaction to it, which I was surprised. I was kind of expecting that. Um, but the the results were negative, and I don't think I have lupus anyway. I don't have any of the indicators that would say lupus, but the hospital there, the first hospital, was really thinking lupus. So I'm like, no, I don't. Lupus has never been in the realm of my thoughts for something to have. Let's see. Um. Anyway, so the I don't know. It's just another waiting game. As everybody else in the Lyme community knows, you kind of have to find your way into a treatment that works for you. I think I know what that is. I hadn't been able to start it prior to coming to the hospital. What I'm hoping is that they can get me to a point where I can maintain, um, at least maintain the level of where I am without getting worse. Then I can continue to treat at home. If my body is accepting the food and I am able to start gaining weight. If I'm not gaining weight, then they just got to figure out what it is because I don't know. Um, I eat plenty for trying to continue gaining weight. So, but I just as it is with losing weight, it takes time to see if it's going to be working or not. I mean, somebody my size, a 4 pound difference could be anything. So it could be from gaining weight, it could be from the fluids they gave me, you know. So at this point, it's just more waiting. But I am going to be going over to the therapy, intensive therapy. I have no idea how long I'll be there. They'll be helping us get set up at home so that when I do move back home, then it's easier on the family and it'll be easier on me. Whereas before, we had no help and we had no equipment to get me sat up in bed, and I just kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And it was honestly really, really depressive. Um, and the idea is to set it up so that I can um, have the things that I need with help. So, and that's really what I want. I want to be able to interact with my kids, and I want to be able to be involved with my family instead of locked up in my room all the time. So, I think that's pretty much it. Um, this update was pretty much for the group that I'm in that have been wondering how I've been doing. Um, to kind of give them a rundown of what's happened. And I emotionally, I don't know how I feel, to be quite honest. I know some people were asking. Um, I feel a little bit more hopeful. But at the same time, I mean, Lyme is a nightmare, and this is just continuing to point more and more toward Lyme issues, you know? Lyme coming back with everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. So, obviously, not everything's fine. Um, but what else can you do? You know, you just keep plugging away. So, I am more hopeful about getting equipment at home. That is going to be a game changer for us at home, and I think is much needed. And they will be helping us with that once I get moved over to the other place. Which I found out the therapy place that I've been moving over to is not just one of the best in the country, but is one of the best in the world. In fact, it's probably listed as number one in the country, and is known as being one of the best in the world. So I really don't think I could have gotten much better care anywhere else. And the doctors have been wonderful and have listened to me. Um, and we've talked about the Lyme and the divide between what information I have versus what they have on Lyme disease, and have not just treated me as crazy or anything like that. They've listened, but at the same time, they have their things that they need to follow as well. So, anyways, I hope all is well. I'll respond to these messages when I'm logged off because it's hard trying to catch them when they're on the screen. And I may or may not do another update today. I don't know yet. Depends on how late it gets and how tired I am. So, have a good day. Bye.